fire in the dark. Not the glow of a city under siege, the glow of a forge. Somewhere beneath the 7 hills of a small Italian town, a blacksmith is hammering iron into a sword that does not yet know its own history. It is the 8th century before Christ.
No one watching this town takes it seriously. It is mud brick and shepherd huts, ringed by hills, fed by a muddy river, and yet, from this unremarkable cluster of villages will grow an empire that stretches from the fog of Scotland to the deserts of Syria, an empire that will give the world roads, law, concrete, calendars, and a language that still shapes half the vocabulary spoken on Earth today. This is not a story about a city.
It is a story about an idea that a republic of citizens could conquer a world and then lose itself in the conquering. It is a story of generals who became gods, slaves who became emperors' advisors, and emperors who died by their own soldiers' hands. It is the story of Rome. And to understand how an empire this vast could rise from nothing and fall from everything, we have to go back to the beginning, not the myth, the dirt. In the 8th century BCE, the Italian peninsula was a patchwork of rival peoples. To the north, the Etruscans, a sophisticated, literate civilization whose language still puzzles scholars today, controlled trade and dominated early Roman kings. To the south, Greek colonists had planted cities across Sicily and the Italian coast, bringing with them the alphabet, philosophy, and the gods that Rome would later rename as its own. Wedged between these two worlds sat a modest settlement on the Tiber River, built on defensible hills, positioned at a natural river crossing, a location good for trade, better for defense. Archaeology confirms Iron Age huts on the Palatine Hill dating to roughly the traditional founding period, lending physical weight to a story the Romans themselves told as legend. That a pair of abandoned twins, Romulus and Remus, were raised by a she-wolf and grew up to found a city.
A city Romulus would name after himself, and, according to the old story, secure with the blood of his own brother. Myth or not, the message embedded in that founding story is unmistakably Roman. Ambition without hesitation, and a willingness to do whatever it took to build something permanent.
For roughly 250 years, Rome was ruled by kings, 7 of them according to tradition, the last several Etruscan in origin. But in 509 BCE, according to Roman tradition, the final king, Tarquin the Proud, was overthrown after his son committed an act of violence against a noblewoman named Lucretia. Whatever the precise truth behind the story, the political result was real and lasting. Rome expelled its monarchy and swore never to be ruled by a king again. In its place rose something new, a republic. Power was distributed between 2 annually elected consuls, a senate of aristocratic elders, and a series of popular assemblies. It was not a democracy in the modern sense. Wealth and birth mattered enormously, but it was, for its era, a radical experiment in shared, accountable power. That experiment was never free of tension. For centuries, plebeians, the common citizens, fought for political rights against the patrician aristocracy that dominated the Senate. Slowly, through strikes, secessions, and negotiated law, they won concessions. The office of the tribune of the plebs, whose holder could veto unjust acts against the common people. And around 450 BCE, the 12 Tables, Rome's first written law code, posted publicly so that justice could no longer be a secret controlled entirely by the elite. Rome's expansion did not happen in a single dramatic leap. It happened the way empires most often happen, through decades of grinding, opportunistic warfare, alliance building, and the absorption of defeated enemies into Rome's own system. By the early 3rd century BCE, Rome controlled the entire peninsula. Its next great test came from across the sea. Carthage, a powerful maritime trading empire based in North Africa. Between 264 and 146 BCE, Rome and Carthage fought 3 catastrophic wars, the Punic Wars, for control of the Western Mediterranean. The second of these wars produced one of history's most famous military campaigns. In 218 BCE, the Carthaginian general Hannibal Barca did the unthinkable. He marched an army, including war elephants, over the Alps into Italy itself. For over a decade, he inflicted devastating defeats on Roman armies, most catastrophically at the Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE, where as many as 50,000 Roman soldiers may have died in a single day, among the worst single-day military losses in history. And yet, Rome did not surrender. It rebuilt its armies again and again, a resilience that would define its entire history. Eventually, the general Scipio Africanus carried the war to Carthage's own soil, defeating Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE. The Third Punic War ended differently. In 146 BCE, Rome laid siege to Carthage itself, destroyed the city, and, according to later tradition, sold its surviving population into slavery. Rome was no longer a regional power. It was the master of the Western Mediterranean.
That's it for today. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for episode 2, coming soon. Thanks for watching.